Todd, in a massive blow to President Biden's push to overhaul elections, Arizona Senator Kyrsten Sinema says she won't support killing the filibuster, and fellow Democrat Senator Joe Manchin is backing her up. Take a listen.
There's no need for me to restate my long-standing support for the 60-vote threshold to pass legislation. And there's no need for me to restate its role protecting our country from wild reversals in federal policy.
Did you listen to Senator Sinema's speech on the floor?
She did an excellent job.
Do you agree with many of the points that she made?
I think it's the points that I've been making for an awful long time, and she has too.
Joining me now, Claudia Tenney, New York Congresswoman and head of the Election Integrity Caucus. Good morning to you, Congresswoman. So what is going to happen on election reform going forward?
Well, hopefully none of the reforms that the Democrats re-upped this week will pass. And it's interesting that you note Senator Sinema. She's actually a co-sponsor of R-1, which is the For the People Act. And that act would actually would ban voter ID, for example, allow public financing of elections, same-day voter registration. Many of those things were already stopped by the New York State voters, believe it or not, which is a 3-to-1 Democratic state, so they're not popular. Interesting with Senator Sinema, though, yesterday the Democrats used the filibuster to destroy a bill that would impose sanctions on Vladimir Putin for the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. So while they say they want to destroy the filibuster, it's only for the purposes of things that they want to get through, like voting rights that they claim are going to help voting rights. It's actually the opposite.
How can that be true? Because I was told that the filibuster is racist by Democrats.
Well, isn't that interesting that the Democrats have used the filibuster more under President Trump's their short few years in the majority than even the Republicans used during 2 full terms under President Obama. So they're hypocritical, and they just use it. It's very Machiavellian. They use this for when they need it. And kudos to Senator Sinema for standing strong, because she knows how important the filibuster is and how this would just be a runaway train if the Democrats were able to use this for every single initiative and to be able to really just cherry pick where they want to use the filibuster.
That is unbelievable. And, you know, the other thing, Congresswoman, I'm sure a lot of people at home are wondering what exactly is in this voter reform legislation. And the House passed something yesterday. That piece of the puzzle is pretty confusing as to what's even in this legislation.
Well, the bills were originally what were HR1, HR4, which would change our voting forever. And I lived through the 100 days nearly of voting. Vote counting in New York State because of the irregularities of the pandemic election. These bills would completely make vote harvesting and ban voter ID, as I said before, same-day registration, really undermine the election integrity that we need to have in order to make our elections free, fair, and to maintain the confidence of the voters. Right now, only about 20% of all voters polled have confidence in our elections. So we need to restore election integrity. That's why I founded the Election Integrity Caucus. And these bills would have undermined election integrity, not to mention the fact that we are down a very dangerous path in New York City where they have voted to allow non-citizens to vote in our elections, which is a clear violation not only of our U.S. Constitution, it is a clear violation of New York law and New York's Constitution.
Congresswoman, the other big news, U.S. Supreme Court blocked President Biden's workplace COVID-19 vaccine tester vaccine mandate for companies with 100 employees or more. They allowed the vaccine mandate for healthcare workers to stay. What's your reaction to that split decision?
I was disappointed that the healthcare workers weren't given the same freedom as every other worker. As you know, we have a healthcare crisis. We have a shortage of healthcare workers. We need nurses. We need doctors. We need specialists to be able to come to work. And so this is disappointing that there wasn't at least an exception given by the Supreme Court for people who have concerns or health issues who cannot take the vaccine for one reason or another, but could also exercise precaution, may have antibodies, can use social distancing and other precautions that they used all during the pandemic, by the way, when there was no vaccine. So this was a huge disappointment on the one side, but it's going to be a big factor going forward for, as a small business owner particularly, and for our growth and business going on to emerge out of this pandemic.
Right. Without a doubt. Congresswoman, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.